So the original Microsoft Surface headphones were aimed at the kings of active noise canceling, namely Sony and Bose. And while those headphones were priced similarly, they just couldn't hang. Now there's the Surface headphones too, and apart from being $100 cheaper, they're also upgraded in a number of key ways that make them better than the originals. But was that enough? Should you get them? Let's find out. So just by looking at these headphones, you probably wouldn't be able to tell them apart from the originals, aside from the fact that they now come in black as well as the gray color option. But they still have the same low-key design, the same minimal branding, just the Windows logo on the side, and that's pretty much it. They look more or less the same. The ear cups do rotate completely around now, which is nice, so you can wear them around your neck when you're not using them. And they also are pretty lightweight at just 295 grams, which isn't the lightest pair of headphones that I've used, but they're definitely not heavy at all, and I was wearing these all day with no problem. Speaking of which, these are super comfortable. The plush ear pads just fit perfectly on my head, and I'm able to wear them all day without any real ear fatigue. My one complaint though is the padding on the headband. I wish they used the same soft plush that's on the ear cups instead of this weird rubber material that always pulls on my hair. So just like the originals, the Surface headphones too have touch sensitive ear cups. So a double tap will skip to the next song, a triple tap will return to a previous song, and tapping it once will pause or play music. Now these work fine, and I had really no issues with getting them to work. The problem was they worked a little too well, and I always accidentally ended up pausing or playing the music when I didn't mean to. Now this isn't a problem specific to these headphones. This is a problem I have with pretty much all headphones that have touch sensitive playback controls, but it's still kind of annoying. One of my favorite features on these headphones are the rotating rings that control volume and noise canceling. So if you rotate the ring on the right ear cup, you'll raise or lower the volume, while rotating the ring on the left ear cup will adjust the strength of the noise canceling. So this is probably my favorite feature about these headphones because not only do they work perfectly when I want them to, but turning the rings is just buttery smooth. Pairing to the headphones is also pretty easy if you download the Surface Audio app, as it'll walk you through the entire process. If you don't feel like doing that though, you can just hold down the power button for 5 seconds and that'll enter Bluetooth pairing mode. Or you can just connect a good old-fashioned audio cable because these do have a 3.5mm input. On top of that, these headphones have also been upgraded in the specs category, as these now have Bluetooth 5 and the aptX Bluetooth codec. Now it's worth mentioning that if you're going to be using these with an iOS device like I was for some of the testing, you're not going to be able to take advantage of the aptX codec, as iPhone is only compatible with AAC. And since both devices need to be compatible with the same codecs, they're just going to default down to SBC, which is the standard audio codec that every Bluetooth device uses. Now as far as Bluetooth connection goes, these were pretty great and I didn't have any skips or stutters in about a week of testing. On top of that, the multi-point functionality is probably the best I've used in any pair of headphones. For example, I was working on my computer listening to music. I would pause my Spotify, I got up, picked up my phone and walked away, pressed play on a YouTube video on my phone, and it knew that the audio that I wanted to listen to was coming from my phone. It's one of those features that just makes the headphones super convenient to use, and it's probably very important to you if you use multiple devices throughout your day. So the original Surface headphones only had about 15 hours of constant playback, which isn't great, but Microsoft claims that that's been upgraded with the Surface headphones 2 to 20 hours of constant playback. One weird thing worth mentioning though is that when you turn on the headphones, a little voice prompt will tell you about how much time you have left, and I was never able to get that to say 20 hours. Even when I had them charged up to 100%, it always said 17 hours for some reason. Not sure what's up with that. But anyways, I put these through our battery test, which is just to play music at a constant output of 75 decibels with active noise canceling on full blast. In our testing, I got 17 hours and 47 minutes of constant playback, which would explain the 17-hour prompt, but unfortunately it didn't meet the claims that Microsoft said of 20 hours. Still, it is slightly better than the originals. So microphone quality was also pretty good with these, but as you can see from the graph, there's a pretty consistent drop off below about 500 Hz. Lower notes in your voice won't come across as loud. Instead, the microphone here focuses more on making your voice more intelligible to the person on the other side by emphasizing key frequencies. So when it comes to noise canceling, these have 13 different levels of adjustments, all of which can be controlled with the dial on the left ear cup, but for the purposes of testing, I kept it at max power. If you look at the two graphs, you can see that there's a significant difference between the regular passive isolation of the headphones, which blocks out basically nothing under 100 Hz, and the graph with the active noise canceling turned on, which shows a nice bump, meaning that those particular frequencies are not as loud. The louder the bump, the more noise is canceled. The constant hum of an air conditioner or the noise you hear in the air cabin of a plane usually lands below 1000 Hz, and these do a great job at canceling that particular range out. While they're not going to take the crown away from something like the Sony WH-1000X Mark III's, they're still really impressive. So as I mentioned, the strength of the active noise canceling can be adjusted using the ring on the left ear cup, but if you turn it all the way down, you'll turn on passive mode, meaning that you'll be able to hear what's going on around you. So let's talk sound. While you can turn on preset EQs in the app or even customize yourself if you want, I left mine on the default option, which is just flat. Now, keep in mind that doesn't mean these headphones are actually perfectly flat. It just means that it's not being tweaked by the app. So as you can see from the graph, the frequency response of these headphones is what I would call very consumer friendly, meaning that there's a nice bump in the lows to make the bass notes more easier to hear in your favorite songs, while also lowering the volume of certain frequencies that can cause harshness in the highs. The result being that most people will probably love how these sound. For some more added context, executive editor Chris Thomas noticed that the frequency response graph for these looks very similar to another pair of popular headphones, namely the Audio-Technica ATH M50X BTs. If you've ever used those, or even the wildly popular wired version, then you have a pretty good understanding of how these are going to sound. In my usage though, I found that there was a little more volume to the lows than I would normally like. In the song Home Again by Michael Kiwanuka, at around the 29-second mark, you can hear his voice getting slightly masked by the bass notes that he's plucking on his guitar. Mids and highs, on the other hand, were my favorite part of these headphones. The vocals in Nikes by Frank Ocean just kind of float over the mid-tone heavy synths throughout the song and never approached harshness either. Overall, these were very enjoyable to listen to, and I'm sure most people will feel the same. So, should you get the Surface headphones too? Well, they do cost $250, which isn't cheap by any means, but it's $100 cheaper than some of the top active noise canceling headphones around. Plus, they're $100 cheaper than the previous Surface headphones. So if it's a choice between these or the first gen model, it's no competition. You should definitely get the Surface headphones too. They have a high quality codec and aptX, Bluetooth 5, slightly better battery life, and they cost $100 less. So while we're talking about the price, these are also less than the competition. The Sony WH-1000X Mark III's cost about $350, and so do the Bose noise canceling headphones 700. These undercut both of them, and they have pretty good features that go toe-to-toe with both as well. Sure, the Sonys sound better and have better active noise canceling, but the Surface headphones too aren't bad in either of those categories either. Plus, the Surface headphones too have a way better Bluetooth multi-point experience, which I think is a way bigger deal than people think. I have no problem recommending the Surface headphones too because Microsoft came to play.